Search Seaman Dreamcast and you can see the image, and it's just, they made a game with that. It's like a fish with like a 30-year-old dude's face.
Oh, I can see it now. Oh no. And welcome to Double Issue. I'm Daniel.
My name is Quentin.
It is. That's a true fact. And this is a fiction podcast. Quentin and I are writing superhero short stories, and we share them with you every other week. And every other week, like this week, we build the world through a little conversation or through like some games or whatnot. And so this week we're going to be talking about the in the notes you've written, Barfians. Bartians. That seems like a mistake. So it's supposed to be Martians. And more importantly, Ichaival this week.
Since we're doing the follow-up, this was going to be a direct sequel to the Martian Timeline. And then we started that, and it kind of fell apart very shortly.
Maybe there's some audio in there we can save. I don't know. We had trouble.
Yeah, it was rough. We started getting into what seasons were like on Mars and what kind of currency they use there, and it wasn't good to listen to.
No.
Or say.
But we're doing a follow-up to it by doing this episode. Yeah. And hopefully it's better.
Yeah.
Before we start, do you have any exciting news from your week?
Not really. I started Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, sounds like a commitment.
Oh. Did you hear that?
Yeah, what was that?
Maybe a gun? I don't know.
Oh.
I'm scared. BRB.
Okay.
Well, that's weird.
Oh, what's up?
I don't know.
Oh.
Just ambiguous danger now.
Oh.
If you hear more and it sounds like they're closer, I got shot for looking out the window and being a potential witness. Like, I didn't see anyone with a gun or anything.
Oh.
There's like another person. I saw someone across the way, like, step outside and be like, what's going on?
Was it like really close to you?
I mean, I can't tell gunshot noises. I don't know.
What? I just meant like directionally, like, was it like...
Yeah, it sounded like it was right out in the courtyard outside my window.
Oh.
I mean, I have no idea if it was that close because I really don't know how loud a gunshot is compared to where I am.
Yeah.
So that's that. I started Final Fantasy 15.
Bang, bang! They just really don't like Final Fantasy 15. Nothing too exciting, but I went on a camping trip last night. So that was fun. Just like for an overnight. Though I forgot to take a Dutch oven, so I couldn't make cobbler. So I came home, got showered, and I made cobbler here. So that was my lunch. And that's the most exciting thing I've done.
Cool.
Well, I think we've got some little bits.
Yeah.
Little bits.
Daniel's little bits.
Do you want to start us off?
Sure. Daniel, I summon you to the court of timeline canonicity. Evidence A. My story in episode 3 for Reflections.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the title is Spell Squadron, issue 23.
Okay.
All right. Keep that in your mind. Roughly one issue a month.
Uh-huh.
It's been going about 2 years.
Okay.
Then we get to Voids, which sets up your story in Voids, sets up that Cult of Hecate was beginning to become a thing. They don't know what it is. I will quote this part here. We need to learn a little more about this cult before we turn their headquarters into a crater. We don't know who they are, what they want, or if they have other locations. Blowing them up would force them deeper underground.
Mm-hmm.
Further evidence, 31, episode Amy, we established a sort of timeline. Because of your thing, we determined that Cult of Hecate big event would have to happen after Amy disappears.
Yeah.
After Amy disappears, we have 3 events. Zombie City, Hecate, and Landslides. And we put Hecate in between the two at 2017. Okay?
Okay.
So how can it be that it's been 2 years since Spell Squadron rebooted after a period of time where they cooled off after the end of the Cult of Hecate and be current day?
Okay. So, first, in the Aegis story, well, in the Void's dream story,
Yeah.
Dream Hildy said they needed to learn more about them. So it's possible that just Aegis didn't know very much about them. And maybe Spell Squadron already had a couple run-ins and knew who they were. And then, as far as the event timeline, could it just be that Spell Squadron met up with Hecate at an earlier date, and that the Hecate event is a different event?
I don't know. Because I was thinking, like, I didn't say anything during the timeline episode, but I do think it can't go there. Like the big event. Because it's been a while that Spell Squadron has been back together.
And they had a break in there.
So what I was wondering, as a possible solution, maybe have Cult of Hecate happen before Amy disappears.
Okay.
The part where it mentions, like, we don't know who they are, that's just dream weirdness.
Yeah.
But it can still be reminiscent of an actual event where they were trying... I mean, we could just retcon it. But it could be, instead of the beginnings of Hecate cult, maybe cleaning up the ends of Hecate cult is where they find Belphegor.
Okay.
That was a possible solution I thought about, but I'm open to other things.
I
was just going to write a thing about Spell Squadron that I may still write at some point, but I was just trying to iron out the timeline in my head, and I was like, I don't know if this works.
So what if the big event that happened with Spell Squadron happened an indeterminate amount of time in the past, and then there's a break, and that the second, well, I guess it's not enough time either, but I was going to say the second Cult of Hecate event is when Spell Squadron gets back together. But there hasn't been enough time since that.
Oh, and I mean, forget something I said. I actually named the amount of time that had passed in the Spell Squadron story.
Oh.
I did not realize.
How much time?
John had encountered the man that had them imprisoned once 5 years ago at the end of the previous iteration of Spell Squadron.
Oh, okay. So 2013?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well...
Well, there we go.
So still a little bit before Amy disappears.
Yeah.
And then I guess we could do are you fine with it being... I like Belphegor being related to this.
Yeah.
I like that tidbit.
I think it would work if that's...
Are you fine with it being like she was actually found in like a mopping up of Cult of Hecate stuff?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Like a resurgence type thing?
Yeah.
And then it's just dream weirdness why it was stated otherwise?
Like Belphegor was putting that back together from like reports and history and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was already going to be off. So
we can just blame it on that instead of neither of us knowing that the event happened 5 years ago.
And because of this, I'm going to be basing all subsequent stories in a dream so that I can get around.
Just in case. to do a Control F to find Hecate, I just typed in He-Cat.
Oh.
The hero, you know.
He-Cat.
So this isn't about Ichaival anymore. This is about He-Cat.
We found it.
Follow up to a thing I typed just a minute ago.
Ready to get into Ichaival?
Sure. What do we know about Ichaival? They are a fish person. Octopus legs.
Yeah. Very interesting on land. Did we decide this was part of our cut Martians background?
Yeah.
Did Martians adapt being able to be on land? Or do they have air? Okay.
Yeah, I think air suits is too cumbersome.
Yeah.
They can be on land. The origins of which may be magical or technological, gene editing, I don't know. But they are able to breathe on land and underwater. They got that dual respiratory.
Yeah.
They've got telepathy because their mouth doesn't produce human speech.
Yeah.
It is short range. It's based like only right nearby can they communicate with others in that way.
Yeah. I'd say it's as effective as a voice, just different.
Yeah. If they try to talk, it's probably like a Murloc in WoW. Do they still have bioluminescence on Earth?
I think
I don't know why they would lose it.
Yeah, I think it would be okay to still have that.
Yeah.
They've got a bow that shoots energy, and it's passed down to them from previous owners of the bow, and it's called Ichaival. But then they take on that mantle whenever they pick up the weapon.
Is this from the anime Symphogear?
I don't know if I've heard of Symphogear.
Because in that, Ichaival is the Symphogear system created from a fragment of the second classified relic, Ichaival. Its user is Chris Yukine, who obtained it through Fine. Its model number is SGR02. I'm sure it's completely different, but it's weird how many things match up. Like it's created from a fragment of another thing.
Yeah. I'm watching the beginning of Symphogear, and I just wanted to tell you it's definitely not what I took that inspiration from.
Looks like maybe the girl is a weapon.
Yeah, I think she turns...
It's another one of those.
Where girls turn into fighting weapons.
One thing we talked about in the Lost episode was weapons are passed down to a new holder in different ways. And I really like that and want to keep that.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm mentioning it here. The example is like maybe one weapon stays with a bearer until the person dies, and then that weapon goes and finds someone worthy, similar to like a Green Lantern ring. But another weapon is like someone has it and they have to find someone that they find worthy or whatever, or someone they want to care about or something, and pass it on to them. And maybe another weapon is like through like lineage, so they can only pass it on to people that share the same genetic code or something like that.
Yeah, I like that. And it gives us a lot of leeway with each of the weapons, like how things move down.
Yeah. And so I just, with that noted, what do you think Ichaival's weapon does?
It's got to be something kind of interesting. Well, so wait, the current Ichaival, did we determine that the current Ichaival is newer since artificial invasion?
I don't know. I think you mentioned at some point wanting Ichaival and Hildy to be training together, and I think you mentioned it one way as like Ichaival training Hildy or something.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe it would be nice if there was a new Ichaival around when Hildy was around, and she was kind of showing them the ropes.
Yeah.
But I also think maybe somewhere we determined an Ichaival died.
Yeah. I think...
And I don't know where that is in all the cracks of our universe.
So what if, with the Ichaival bow, it's something like a test of pure heart or something? I don't know, maybe there's some time in there where Ichaival, the new one, the current one, can't really use their powers because they don't fully understand it yet, but they've been already chosen or something.
Mm-hmm.
Could make some time in there where they're still working through it. But no matter what happened, by the time that our universe kind of picks up, he's on Aegis, so they must be doing pretty good. Like they must have mastered their powers and
So let's go with tentatively. They were kind of new right before artificial insurrection.
Well, actually, there's a lot of leeway in there because it could even be like 5-10 years before artificial insurrection.
I guess so.
So we could say I keep saying he, but it's not right. We could say they're the newest iteration, but they've been around for a good chunk of time.
Yeah.
And that would give us some leeway with some of the stuff we wanted to cover, but also it wouldn't conflict with anything current.
Okay.
So I think I like that.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. So you want to go with a regular old boring pure of heart story.
So I say pure of heart. I think maybe that's just like the colloquial way to say it, but like Ichaival isn't motivated by making themselves stronger or anything like that.
What kind of test do you think it has, or does it choose the person, or
what if for this one the bow can just know after it is around somebody long enough whether or not it likes them? Maybe it's like checking them out psychically or something like that. But the way Ichaivals have done it in the past is go out and find a couple of apprentices, and they keep them on for a while until the bow chooses one. That way they have a backup.
Oh, so it's not determined after death.
Or, yeah, maybe they just keep a couple of apprentices.
I did have a thought.
Yeah.
What if, when someone wielding Ichaival is dying, the bow demands that they shoot one last bolt into the air, and that bolt zooms around and finds a heart to pierce?
Oh.
Not like death-wise, but just like goes into them, and then they feel compelled to go pick up the bow or something. Because the apprentice one could be interesting as well.
I like the situation of having apprentices for the old Ichaival, whether or not that's part of the actual test. Just because I think then we could have an evil Martian foil.
I mean, you can have an evil Martian. Like, we have a lot of Martians.
We do.
There's any number of evil
Just
weapon bearers or something.
Drag up Froki from the depths and we're good to go.
Yeah, but there could be an interesting dynamic with who gets chosen and who doesn't. One thing I want to tap into is Ichaival's like ancestral memory thing.
Yeah.
So it's obviously strong enough that they're okay going by the name Ichaival.
Right.
Because I think if it weren't strong enough to have like an identity of the weapon, I feel like maybe they would be uncomfortable going as Ichaival each time. I haven't really thought too much about it. You mentioned it in some story, I remember.
Yeah. I liked the concept that Star Trek used for, I can't think of the alien's name.
Ichaival.
Trill. So the Trill are this alien, or a pair of alien races, I guess. And one of their defining features is that they have hosts that are humanoid, and they get this slug brain creature inserted in them. And that gives them memories and feelings and emotions, but they're still a new person each time. So it's almost like a resource they can tap into.
So it's kind of like Stargate.
Yeah, very similar.
The Gowl.
Yeah, so I think each Ichaival will still be very their own person. They'll still have all their own motivations and memories.
Yeah, I like that.
But there's like the second person that they're intertwined with, in a way.
Yeah.
So what if whenever the current holder of the Ichaival dies, the bow becomes an arrow and shoots off, and it just keeps going, and whoever catches it gets to become the next Ichaival?
That's a little weird, but sure. What I was gonna say is like it's kind of like a Robin taking over for a Batman, except also if they got all of Batman's memories.
Oh yeah.
So I guess it's very similar if he has a bunch of, or if the current wielder of Ichaival has a bunch of apprentices.
Yeah, maybe they surround themselves with apprentices so that hopefully one of them will catch it.
Maybe that's not necessarily an every Ichaival thing. Like maybe there's one Ichaival that messed it up for everyone. Because I could see the process going badly for an apprentice that doesn't get it or something. So what if something happened on this latest one that shook everything up?
Oh, there's like the apprentices that are supposed to catch it and they miss, and our Ichaival accidentally gets it, and they're not even like trained to be an apprentice.
Oh,
it's like, I didn't mean it.
That's interesting. I was thinking just like one of the apprentices broke bad and one of the apprentices still got it, but that's an interesting thing, is a complete like unknown.
Yeah, one of the apprentices murders the old Ichaival to get it.
That might be too far.
But then the new Ichaival is technically now their boss.
I sensed that I was murdered.
They didn't see it. Just thought it was weird how that worked out, right?
So when that happens, you said the bow turns into an arrow?
Yeah. Well, we also described it. We described the bow as gauntlets, and they just like make the motion of a bow, right?
I can't remember what all we decided and discarded at any point anymore now.
So however we decided it, the weapon itself turns into like an energy bolt and takes off, is what I was thinking.
And that's zooming around. Then the hunt is on.
The game's afoot. So what if, like, a bad Martian caught the arrow once, and it caused a whole bunch of trouble for the Martians? So then they're like, well, now, whenever this weapon changes hands, we need to make sure we have a plan in place. But then, like, nepotism and evil kind of got into the system anyway. So when the bow passed on, the bow was like, not this time. I got this. And it took off for somebody else.
Okay. So all of the apprentices were bad.
Or just...
each season of it.
No, every season The Apprentice was bad.
Even Celebrity?
Yeah.
Are you sure, though?
I don't know, maybe the Arnold ones are okay.
Okay, so we're getting a picture of Ichaival is not from the system and is gonna drain the Martian swamp.
Martians live in the ocean, Quentin. There are no swamp.
The whole thing's a swamp, if you ask me. What's an ocean but a deep swamp?
Okay, so did we want to just reuse a Martian villain from a previous time? Do we want to do the apprentice villain?
For what?
Oh, for a villain for Ichaival.
Oh, they can have all of them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but I did want to... So, do you think it's similar in that, like, all of the past Ichaivals are kind of, like, one voice together in the current iteration's head?
Yeah.
Like, they can tap into memories of different ones, and sometimes maybe those kind of surface on their own. It's kind of maybe like a mixing with their mind.
Yeah, I think you have a couple of days after you grab the arrow as you're, like, melding with it. And after that, it's, like, just one person. Or, like, all the other voices are one person, and you're being added to it.
Yeah. I just... If they are separate, I imagine in the illustration of Ichaival's mind, there's kind of two voices, like the ancestral voice and their thought bubbles.
Oh yeah, it's kind of funny if they have thought bubbles underwater, because then it just looks like their words are bubbling up.
Oh, I thought you meant it kind of looks like they're farting words.
Yeah, that too.
So if Ichaival is part of like a corrupt system, does that mean Ichaival was not a hero before this current iteration? Like a part of the heroing world?
Well, so I don't think, this is something we need to determine anyway, I don't think the Martians were a part of the world in a wider way until the Citadel situation starts.
Correct. I meant after the Martians emerge, which we haven't really covered at all yet.
Yeah.
But sometime in the superhero history timeline, Martians emerge.
Mm-hmm.
Ichaival's not really integrated into the hero society until this current iteration, perhaps. If they're the different one.
Yeah.
Because I kind of had it in my mind that there were multiple iterations of Ichaival that were a part of, like, Aegis.
Mm.
But if they were kind of just a cog in a corrupt machine...
I could see it being more like the previous Ichaivals were just more single-minded on protecting Martian society.
Yeah.
And so maybe they still participated or worked with other groups. But I think this Ichaival is the first one to really dig in and be as active.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that because I did have it in my mind before this that they were just kind of around in different lives, you know?
Mm.
But I'm fine with this too.
I mean, the past Ichaivals could have joined Aegis or other hero groups too, but maybe this current Ichaival is just the one who's most positive about it or something like that.
I think maybe they would have had run-ins with different heroes. Ichaival would have been like a character in the universe, but I don't think they would have been if they would have been a full-time hero.
Yeah.
Like it seems like they are now. Yeah, I like that.
That does give me a little story nugget. I think Graham, the other Martian we've met in fiction, they should be inspired by the new Ichaival. Like the reason they've come up to try to join a hero group.
Okay. See, I was wondering if there were others that did it before Ichaival as well.
Oh. Yeah, they probably are.
I don't know who they are, but...
Yeah.
So, for a group of villains, the Truth Seekers.
Oh.
They're the 3 apprentices that were supposed to be inheriting Ichaival, they're seeking the true heir to Ichaival, as in they want to kill this Ichaival.
Okay, I like it.
Okay.
Their other villain that we know of already is Worldbuild F. Guns All Over.
Yeah!
So we gotta make sure to put them on the list.
Yeah.
Another villain for Ichaival, Captain Nemo. I was just thinking of the stereotypical, like, guy that lives in a submarine and just randomly attacks the Martians.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought it'd be good to have a villain where Ichaival could kind of shake a tentacle and be like, Nemo!
Oh.
We've kind of got an origin.
Yeah. Do we want to explore that a little more? Or maybe some of their early heroing days or something?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So they come up at some point.
One thing we did mention was them training with Hildy.
Yeah.
Do you think this was... I don't see Ichaival getting straight into Aegis.
Yeah.
So maybe they seek out Hildy and ask for an apprenticeship.
What if...
And then there's a team-up comic called Hildy and Itchy.
Yeah. I like it. What
were you
if
gonna say?
Ichaival was trying to do the superhero thing and they're still a little immature and like Hildy shows them up and so then they go out and seek her out like, okay, I need help.
They go, if you want to learn how to shoot arrows, follow me. And they live on an island for a year.
Yeah.
So there was a team-up comic between Green Lantern and Green Arrow.
Oh.
And this is kind of like a Green Lantern, Green Arrow by way of origin and power.
Yeah. I just realized that because of the way we're setting this up, we could have had both our training things with Hildy and Ichaival, because she could have gotten some training in like the 80s.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But that's too late now because Ichaival was evil.
Not evil, just not
Okay.
good. They could have done evil things. I'm just saying they weren't inherently like world-destroying evil.
Yeah, no. I get it. That's interesting. Is there a way we could still make that happen?
I think it's in there somewhere, but
It's kind of like a stretch now, though. Huh?
yeah.
She gets stranded on an island, and Ichaival, previous version of Ichaival, just happens to wander onto the island.
She's shooting arrows at a buoy in the water, and she misses, and then old Ichaival comes out of the ocean, and he has this arrow sticking out of his face, and they just pull it out, and it's like, is this yours? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we could think on that.
Yeah.
And see if we could find a convincing way for that circular thing to show up. It could be Ichaival is Sparkplug's mentor also. So it's like a sine wave and cosine wave teaching each other.
I guess I did kind of like that. I did have the thought that Sparkplug gets Garth to give her pointers, but maybe that doesn't work out, and so she goes and seeks out somebody else.
I mean, probably she can get training from Garth, but if Ichaival, if Hildy and Ichi were a duo for a bit,
yeah, that'd make more.
Then she might go to Ichaival just for like, you knew my mom. What info can you give me? Like, what was my mom like?
She was piercing.
Oh. So then, at some time in the future, Ichaival gets passed on to another Martian, and Sparkplug has to help train the new Ichaival.
Oh, man.
It's so good, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I was going to say, it'll just be funny whenever Sparkplug's training the next Ichaival. Like, I don't really shoot bows. Do you need help with punching?
So I do have a question here. Why does Ichaival need trained if they've got the memories of every other Ichaival that knows how to use the weapon?
I was thinking on that. On that.
Okay.
They're like, I technically know how this is supposed to work, but like, my body doesn't know how it works yet, or
okay.
Like the memories are for a different. They know the general idea, but for some reason, like they don't know how the technique works with themselves. Maybe.
Also, I wonder if there's a period of acclimation. Like they can sense the memories, but they don't have stores of, like even on the tactical side.
Oh yeah.
They don't have like instant access to all of those like battle stores.
Yeah. What if like accessing those memories is kind of a strain.
Maybe it builds up over time.
Yeah, but like you couldn't just get them all dumped at one time.
Yeah, like you've got this kind of entity floating in your brain, and you have to kind of build up pathways to it as you access it to get like speedier and speedier access to the different parts.
To get speedy?
Yeah, the Ichaival's sidekick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
that's cool. So even if we don't have Hildy being trained by a previous Ichaival, because that one's a bit of a stretch, we could still have 3 generations covered into the future. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I like that.
So Hildy and Ichaival were good buds for a while. One thing, when I was looking through the Amy Dangerous notes, I hate that we spent so long talking about who Amy dated.
Oh.
That we've done with like no other character.
I will accept some of the blame for that because I set up some of those relationships too, and I think that made it more of a thing.
Yeah,
to talk
like
about.
I get that we had already established that she and Michonne were a thing.
Yeah,
but I feel like even then we still like.
Yeah, we went
for too long. This is embarrassing.
Who's Ichaival dated? Just other Martians?
For parody. I don't know. Maybe there's another weapon that Ichaival's different memories have been intertwined with.
Oh.
Not like in an actual way, but like different iterations have had relationships with different iterations of another weapon. Kind of star-crossed ancestral memories that dip in and out of each other. That was a soup of a word string.
I was going to say there's some words there.
That's an interesting concept, especially if they're not necessarily aligned with the hero agenda.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to say they should be a villain, but perhaps they...
You don't want to pull a Daniel.
So Ichaival, until very recently, stood for the system.
Yeah.
What if they were kind of outside of the Martian system? Like they were like kind of on their own. Maybe, of course, long ago part of the system because every weapon was kind of deal.
Yeah.
So perhaps that's where their origins of being into one another start. But perhaps somewhere on Earth they diverge and say, you know, the Martian system is oppressive. The Martian weapon government thing. So they're kind of a rebel. But I like the idea of them coming in contact with Ichaival. And just kind of like them touching Ichaival activates old memories that kind of try to take over and be like, I remember you. Like kind of a love-hate relationship. The good memories and also you're on the wrong side kind of deal for both of them.
Yeah. So say there's a magical chakram and it's like I think it's like those wheels, like the 2 kind of wheel-shaped things that have a handle in the middle that you can like throw or...
Yeah, I played Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning.
Yeah, but it's a kin con kin. You could shorten it to just kin or chakra.
What I was going to suggest was perhaps Ichaival is like some gauntlets that shoot arrows. What if this is a legendary weapon that's an arrow that shoots gauntlets?
Like fists?
Yeah, Kin. Oh, well, if you just Google image search Kin, like 4th row is like anime woman butt.
Oh, yeah?
Kin. It's another anime woman that's a weapon. Fantastica. How many anime girl legendary weapon animes are there?
I'm thinking there's a lot.
What is this one? Does this one have an Ichaival? This one is like way more... It looks like there's an Ichaival.
Oh, it's like a mobile game. Yeah, so they're just kind of an outsider.
They are part of a rebel enclave.
Oh, okay.
But outsider, yeah. I think probably they approve of Ichaival more now, but their relationship is probably weird.
Yeah.
Because if Ichaival's doing like good outside of the Martian world, but Ichaival's still got ties there. They're not entirely cut off or anything.
Right.
So they probably have to fight Kin sometimes.
Yeah. Maybe it's sort of like a...
Electra?
Catwoman?
Catwoman? It's good.
Yeah.
Both of those.
Black Cat.
Is there a male version of this?
I don't think there is, which is a problem.
Let's do some more villains, or like along the lines of villains, but also story arc.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's talk arcs. So there's the origin story arc.
We've got some crossover arc with Hildy. I think they probably had a comic for a while together. I do like thinking of it kind of similar to the Green Lantern, Green Arrow crossover comic.
Only this is fun because it's both just Archer people.
No, yeah.
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 Good.
What if their comic is called Arrow to Arrow?
That sounds too close to Jungle for me to approve that.
Well, I mean, it's a classic.
What about an arc where it's a retelling of Moby Dick, but it's just Ichaival hunting Whalebert F guns all over the battleship whale?
Yeah, that makes sense. That it's just traveling the oceans in it. Ichaival is just, I need to take care of this once and for all. I created this monster and I have to end it. That's right. Now, what it's like some weapons got into a whale somehow?
Yeah, maybe whale fragments got into a whale.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
And instead of becoming a sexy anime girl, it became a battleship.
What if there's like not to do another guns all over arc again so soon, but what if someone decides it's a good idea to put like tank treads on the whale, and it's a story arc called Beached.
The whale comes back for revenge.
It's like just terrorizing the land. What if it's a whole like ocean revenge like mini event? Like, it doesn't have to be a full-fledged event, but it's large scale of like putting tank treads on sharks, putting, swordfish come out.
What if the dolphins rally everybody in the ocean together?
Yeah.
Because dolphins are secretly super intelligent and don't want to share the ocean with the Martians anymore.
That's who's secretly behind it, I guess. It looks like the leader is Whalebert, but they're just the puppet government, the puppet leader for the dolphins that you find out.
Because I think that could start with a couple of heroes like Ichaival and somebody else just wailing on some dolphins, just punching them. And some passersby, like people on the beach, stop and watch them. And they're just kind of gruesomely like just punching these dolphins way well past what they needed.
Yeah.
It's like, you're probably wondering how I got here.
I don't want to give everyone tank treads. So what if some of the like dolphins have like leg suits kind of deal? Like dolphin tops, but it's like kind of like a cup with legs so that the dolphin can kind of swim in there and then like kind of arch up to like...
I like it.
And they can control lasers. Mechs. Yeah, like mechs.
I like the Johnny Mnemonic dolphin.
That's a pretty good. Beached.
So, on the last episode, we sort of tried to figure out their political structure of the Martians.
Yeah.
What if instead of an arc that's like replacing the king of the Martians, what if there is some sort of like a cult, but it's more politically based? I don't know, some group is trying to undermine Martian society through, like, cultural fights? I don't know what I'm trying to say. But it's something like, the Martians are under attack, but it's not one you can punch. So it's more of, like, a Martian noir story of, like, but who's spreading these lies? And...
Okay. Like just like a political thriller?
Yeah.
It's a 100-issue maxi series about...
Oof.
The political machinations of Martian culture that comes out weekly, so it takes span over 2 years. And boy, did you need to keep up with that in order to know what's going to happen next month's Ichaival comic, because it's all about to come to a head.
It's the Martian candidate.
Done. Put it in a canister and send it over to the bank.
It's gotta be the dumbest thing I've written in quite a while. And the amount of things you have to have in place for that to be funny is good to me.
So is it what I said, like 100 issue maxi series about the political?
I don't know if I could make 100 issues, even joking. I could see
really
it
like it.
Like a 12-issue run.
No, you need to like set up because where are the readers? The readers have just seen before now in where whenever this is published. Before now, all we've seen of the Martian culture is just like bits and pieces. We really need to establish all the characters, all their motivations, all the just boring political maneuvers they can do. See, House of Cards is interesting because you kind of know what's going on in Congress. You can kind of follow that. This needs like 20 or 30 issues before you could start doing House of Cards type political maneuverings. Neil Stephenson has a trilogy of books, which is not a trilogy. It's like 8 books inside of 3 large books. And though it's about like Leibniz and Newton and the scientific thinkers of around that time, whenever that was, like 1600s, 1700s. And I was reading a review for one of the later books, and one of the later books was like, this is the showdown between Leibniz and Newton that needed all the previous books to really set the ground for. And I was just, I can't wait to really get into that. So that's what that is what I'm pitching to you here.
Okay.
And I mean, it's not like we got to write it.
No.
But we should. If we write a trilogy of books, we can use all of that lost episode because we'll really have to nail down that Martian governmental structure and the caste system and the weapons councils, which are separate from the, just regular councils.
Which makes it fun because the Martians then are like super political because of all the different intertwining groups and memberships. But oof.
Yeah, that's why it needs 100 issues to really...
I was going to say, it's going to be murder to try to just plot out the characters and their leanings with how many groups are at play.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see it running 100 issues.
It might be more than 100 issues. I don't know, but I guess... I did say 100 issues running weekly.
It's 100 issues, but you have to get the companion book that explains what's going on.
Yeah, there's like a novel that comes
citations.
out. Okay, cool. That one's pretty good. The Martian Candidate. And really like what the actual, like a lot of it's mainly build up, but it's build up for basically a Martian retelling of the Manchurian Candidate. So it's really just for the nerds. Oh, I can mostly follow this. I don't know what those 100 issues went on about. And people that love the series went, but it was so good. Please, everyone slept on this. You have to read it.
It won't get renewed unless several thousand more people start reading them.
Oh. I mean, I am the person that has 5 volumes of The Familiar sitting over on my bookshelf. 5 of the planned 27 volumes that I don't think are going to get made.
That's too much. It's much too much.
Yeah. Got any more arcs? Maybe do some covers? I don't know.
Oh, I had an idea for a villain.
Oh, go ahead.
Just came back to me. Excalibur.
Oh, yeah.
Bring them back out.
Yeah.
Because Excalibur can control other weapons. So it'd be a fun series where Ichaival has to go in without any weapon and prove that they're a hero even without it.
Yeah. I mean, that's too much power to not be corrupted by.
All that power.
That's closer than that one time you did that. I mean, where do you think Vedra falls now?
Oh.
What if this is going off of a bit of the Lost episode?
Okay.
Vedra went off and was missing.
Mm-hmm.
What if Vedra never got found?
Oh.
Vedra was still on Mars when everything got left. So some alien is exploring Mars and happens upon the weapon Vedra and gets that power. Sort of a Beta Ray Bill type of character. A completely different species that has one of the Martian weapons and they're just doing their own thing.
That could be fun. Who would the alien race be, though?
No, I don't know. We can leave it at that for now and tap into it later as a potential storyline. Covers? Comic book covers?
Yeah, covers.
So there's an early one of the political spin-off that's got like the architecture of the Martian government buildings just standing regal. And then that's important to set up because later one of the covers is like, it's all decayed and ruined, you know, symbolism. That one was a very deep series.
I think no one gave it a second thought because they just thought it'd be boring.
Yeah. And
so they just didn't give a whole lot of oversight to the writers. So they just went crazy with lots of little detail.
Yeah. So the Martian Candidate was like what it culminates in. What do you think that series was called?
Oh, man.
It's got to be like epic and boring. Kind of like the title Crime and Punishment. You're like, okay.
Immediately the word pearly gates came to mind because pearls are underwater, but then that makes it sound like it's heaven, and I think it's not.
I don't know. I'll think about it some.
Yeah.
Like Ichaival standing on top of a submarine, kind of riding it, spear in hand, harpoon in hand, kind of like, I'll get you, you white whale. The submarine isn't theirs. They're just kind of hitching a ride on it, maybe. Oh, I wonder if there's a very, very cool cover that I'm not going to do justice by describing it, but kind of like a mix between smoke and water, but just a very like wispy, liquidy tapestry of memories between Ichaival and Kenkonken. Like it's just kind of portraying a bunch of different scenes between them.
I like that.
Yeah.
Maybe a really cartoony cover that depicts Ichaival dressed up like Robin Hood. It's just like a silly offshoot.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Maybe it's a Halloween issue and that was their costume.
What about for the title of the political comic? Trials and Tribulations.
That's pretty good.
There's like what is this Green Lantern Green Arrow cover? But for the two. But kind of Hildy and Ichaival standing back to back, both of their bows drawn kind of towards the camera, for lack of a better word. Yeah. Towards the viewer. Or, similar to this one, that one where they're actually Green Arrow and Green Lantern are both just kind of rushing into the camera. That one's pretty cool too.
I just had an idea for one where it's young Ichaival, and they're like maybe looking over their shoulder or something, and there's like 3 robed figures or something on the front, and it's for the truth seekers.
Oh yeah, we should dive in more into them at some point because I think they're fine on a surface level, but it'd be cool to get more about them.
Yeah.
What about one where I don't know, I just want to mimic this cover where Green Lantern says, "You have all the answers, Green Arrow. Well, what is your answer to that?" And Green Arrow's face is shocked, and he says, "My ward is a junkie," and the foreground is Speedy shooting up with heroin.
Oh, what?
You don't know about this?
I think I heard about Speedy having an issue.
He has a drug problem. Sorry, all my covers from now on are Green Lantern, Green Arrow covers.
Oh, that's a really gross, setup.
DC attacks youth's greatest problem. Drugs. The top has a banner. The shocking truth about drugs. Only 25 cents. Man, comics are expensive now.
I got one more, and it's Ichaival, and they're swimming underwater. And it's one of those where they're just kind of looking around, and they can't really see what's going on. But the reader knows, because they're the camera's pulled back really far, that there's just giant rows of teeth behind them, and a couple of eyes, and it's just a really giant fish.
What if it's mostly black cover, but the eyes and teeth show up, and then Ichaival is the bioluminescence of them.
Oh, there you go.
And the comic cover glows in the dark.
Oh. I was going to go with foil, but glow in the dark. That's even fancier.
There's several variants.
Oh, okay.
So it
was a collector's edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that does sound good. I feel like we were very distracted tonight, but I think we got some very good stuff in there.
Yeah. We want to wrap up?
Yeah, let's pumpkin wrap up.
Oh, yeah.
As for the pumpkin wrapper contest, it is now over. Your entries are now bouncing off of the email and you get an automatic rejection letter. No, we haven't set it up to do that. I don't even know how you would set it up to do that unless we told you the subject line was contest or something, but we didn't do that. We weren't that sophisticated. So we can't auto reject your emails. But the contest is closed.
That's right.
And we should be announcing a winner sometime soon. Not on this episode yet, but we are going to contact a winner and figure out what we're going to do story-wise.
Yeah.
Like, figure out if they want their story read on air or whatever. We'll be in contact with them and send them their stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the contest is over. Do continue to create fan things if you want to. We would love to see them and whatever them, if you feel so inclined. Did you have anything?
I don't know if I've really got any recommendations this week that stood out.
I've got a recommendation this week, and it's Waypoint Radio. I've been getting behind on the podcast since I haven't had earbuds at work, but they've been doing a rewatch of the Purge movies, and they've had very good discussions on those. And I haven't watched the Purge movies, but since I have some foundational knowledge from the Sequel Rights podcast, it's easy to listen to them deep dive into some of the political stuff and social stuff of those movies. That the Sequel Rights podcast got kind of more into the movie making side of stuff, because they're like movie type people, but they had like an editor on with them to discuss the movie, and that was really cool to get that side of stuff. But I've been enjoying Waypoint Radio's like kind of dive into the philosophy and political side of stuff, and they're always very good for that type of stuff in games and whatnot. Oh, my voice is okay for that bit?
I think you're good.
Yeah.
Ooh.
This is True Grit signing off. Is True Grit the name of a character, or I haven't seen that movie?
It's just, I think I turn a phrase about the character.
And truly, I thought we were going to find the True Grit, but the True Grit was in me all along.
The True Grit was the beef we made along the way.
Oh, is that movie?
I think
so.
Beef, isn't it?
Dang, have I seen that movie?
You did. Yeah, I think that's the Beef movie.
I don't remember anything about that movie.
Oh, really?
I just remember it's a Western.
I think it partially takes place in Oklahoma.
Oh, and then they're having it's like at the end of the movie, and everyone's kind of sad because they didn't get what they were looking for. You know, it's years later. They're just having breakfast, and then an old man lights up and he goes, "I got it. These were the true grits all along." And he shovels more grits into his mouth. Do you have a recommendation?
Yeah, I think we've recommended them before, but go check out Okie Comics on okiecomics.com. It's Oklahoma comics that are made about the state. It's kind of cool.
Can you get it if you're outside?
Yeah. Well, you can read them online.
Oh, you can read them online. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got comics online, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the issues are free, and you can just go click the stories they've got. And it's not like a single voice. It's like a lot of the creators working together on it. It's like one of my favorites was the story behind our state song, and it's just really goofy. And it mentions USAO, but yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
What's the state song one called? What issue is that one in?
It's in issue 3, and it's called "How Oklahoma Became Our State Song" by Hollywood. Yeah. Our show art was by Lisa Prather. Find her Instagram.com/Lisa Prather art. Or on our website, lisapratherart.com.
Yeah. You can email us, comments, questions, timeline concerns, doubleissueshow@gmail.com. You can also just send us a tweet. Just kind of at Double Issue Show, or use our hashtag. That one, if you don't tweet directly at us, it's a chance to be missed, but we try to search that occasionally.
The defendant has asked that if you are sending in additional evidence of Daniel being very bad at keeping timelines straight, just to make sure that the jury doesn't, get affected by whatever new knowledge you bring up.
I mean, we had on-air evidence that I didn't know the timeline in my own story, because it was 34 weeks ago that I said it happened 5 years ago.
That's all right.
Yeah. I'm also on Twitter separately from Double Issue at Quentin Pongratz.
Yeah, and I'm on there as @Gwair.
Yeah.
GYWAIR.
And I've got a poll going on right now, and you still have time to vote by the time this is out. I have asked the Harry Potter films, Halloween movies or Christmas movies?
Oh, yeah, I think I already voted in that.
You replied. You're trying to spoil the vote, I see. But just go ahead and vote. Don't read Daniel's reply until after you have voted.
Twitter's a democracy.
I hear they're taking away the poll because of Trump. Song Free Harmonics by the Free Harmonic Orchestra. It was used and shortened under its Creative Commons license. And you can find it at freemusicarchive.org.
Oh, which reminds me, we're under the Creative Commons license.
Yeah, by attribution, share alike.
Yeah.
So that refers to all of our episodes. We never say it, but all of our episodes can be reproduced and redistributed however you need to, as long as you attribute us and pass along that license. You can use any of our stuff. Yeah. So make a remix where Daniel says, I like butts.
I like butts.
Do the whole Sir Mix-a-Lot song with Daniel saying words from various episodes. If you need, go ahead and tweet me any words you need to complete that, and I will try to make Daniel say them organically, like the word anaconda he probably has not said yet. But I'll write it into a story.
What, the word anaconda?
Got it. So that probably completed it, and so you can do a Daniel Sir Mix-a-Lot thing. You just need to attribute this podcast and share it in the same manner that we have done here under the same license. What are we doing next week? Alternate?
Alternate. So we're going to do an alternate version of the stories that we've written prompts for. Use prompts alternately than how we used them before.
Redo.
Woo!
So join us for those stories in about a week.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time, because we see you every time you listen. We're watching you. Goodbye.
We take no pleasure in watching you all the time.
I do.
Even when you're sleeping.
I take pleasure in it.
Oh, but I don't necessarily, but Quentin does.
I want to give you a joke that I've mostly constructed, but I can't quite determine the wording of it. And I'm going to give it to you in a vague way.
Okay. So
you know that joke, why was 6 afraid of 7?
Right.
Because 7, 8, 9.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a way you say that joke in a Yoda voice to subvert the punchline, and it becomes 6, 7, 8. And I don't quite know what way to construct the question in order to, have that really pay off in the most way.
I see this being a great stand-up bit, because then you could set it up Yoda tried to do stand-up. Yeah, it didn't work out. And you just go from there.
Where do you go from there to get you to the connective tissue that is the punchline?
Yeah.
That's what I need, the question.
Let me see.
Because I feel like in asking the question, Yoda, the teller, needs to first remind you about that other joke. So I was thinking it needs to be something similar to, but something along the lines of, it was not 6 who needed to fear 7 or whatever, something like that,
Right.
Maybe incorporate, since you're doing it from POV Yoda, maybe incorporate fear. Fear leads to...
Fear leads to the dark side.
Fear leads to anger. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Why?
You know who else had fear?
Why did 6 so suffer at the hands of 7? I don't know. There's some joke in there that subverts the classic 7, 8, 9 joke, and you tell it in a Yoda voice. So if anyone wants to construct that and do it, if I leave this in the podcast. 6, 7, 8.